a self-help book, more on the psychology side, very relatable. And I'm going to start with a personal story. So about 3.5, 4 years back, I was going through a very low period of my life. I didn't have the confidence to go up to people and talk to, or even present in front of my bosses, my executives. There's a personal side, which was completely a different story. I was completely thrown away from where I was. I just lost completely myself, and I kept thinking about myself is what a loser I am. And I could not see anywhere. It's like spiral way down. I just felt like life just cannot be better anymore. And I suck. My life is over. I don't know what to do. I was completely lost. So at that time, interestingly, what happened is there's a new sales leader in my organization who joined and came on board in the US. And he mandated the first thing, is that all my folks is going to read TED. Doesn't matter what you're doing, sales, marketing, I want all of you to read TED. And then we're going to have our first all hands. So I picked up on a weekend this book. It was a breeze read, 155 pages. And after I read the book, and we'll do this journey together, I'm going to share the rest of the story. The book is written by David Emerald. David is an executive coach, very renowned. He does podcasts, he writes extensively, he speaks a lot on psychology. The book starts, the backdrop of what he calls his dreaded drama triangle, DDT. Now, this was based on drama triangle, a concept that was published by Stephen Kerman in 1968, who was a psychotherapist. He said that, typically in all our relationships, there are three different roles. The roles are victim, persecutor, and rescuer. And these three roles are interlinked. They are relatable, and they dance around each other. So, you'll see how it works. A victim is someone like I just explained, right? Poor me. Feels powerless. I have no choice. My dream is lost. I feel angry, resentful, frustrated. I believe that my life cannot be better. I'm gone. Persecutor, on the other hand, so if I feel bad, somebody is the reason. It could be an individual, it could be a circumstance, it could be an event. So, who is the problem? My boss? My wife? My friend? Anyone I talked to, anyone I spoke to, I felt this guy is a problem, this lady is a problem, right? So that was persecutor. A persecutor who will actually believe in authoritarian approach, always go by win-lose kind of a style, very rigid in thinking, very bossy. You will relate to your bosses actually typically. And then, I would run to my friends as rescuer. Who are you? Look at you. I really feel sorry, guy. Dude. Let me take care of you. I am the savior. Don't worry. I'll take care of you. You just relax, right? So he took the power again completely out of me, and he took control of me. So before I shift to the new, the other slide, like I said that, imagine now victim. So if my boss is the persecutor, I would go and up to him and show my frustration and anger at some time. I would act like a passive-aggressive guy. At one point of time, I will burst out. I'll go and sort of shout at him at times, and he would like, this guy is I'm the victim. This guy is the persecutor. You see what is happening? So then I suddenly become a persecutor to him, and he become a victim. So he runs to another rescuer, and the rescuer, who is actually a savior, he's like a god. So he would prescribe something, and I'll do that. In case if I don't do, the rescuer will find himself in a victim position. I told this guy to do this way, but he sort of ditched me. He doesn't care, listen to my advice. I have no power. So suddenly he's a victim. So this roles dance around. So the book talks about another framework called FISB. FISB essentially is focus, inner state, and behavior. So let me start with focus. It depends all on your orientation. Where are you focusing? If, okay, maybe the next slide is going to better explain this. If your focus is problem, you see problem all around you. So when you see problem all around you, what is the typical thing that you end up doing? You will be in anxiety. You're always anxious because you are in problem. You are seeing, all around you problem, and you are in anxiety. And what is the behavior that you'll exhibit? You'll react. You'll resent. You'll show your frustration, right? So the DDT and the victim orientation perfectly matches with FISB. So if you look at this is a victim's orientation for the FISB triangle, and I'm sure some of you relate to that. Now, moving beyond the victim orientation, what's the antidote of DDT? We talked about dreaded drama triangle. The antidote, now here you see that the triangle actually flipped. So it's a complete reverse of a DDT view. The TED triangle, which is the empowerment dynamic, in which the victim now suddenly becomes a creator. So he sees he's powerful, he has an option, he has a choice, he can make the choice. The persecutor becomes a challenger. So the persecutor, instead of being directive, says, I know that you've done well, but I know you can do better. So he pushes, he challenges the creator. SQer turns into coach. So what happens is coach, instead of saving, asks questions. I know that you can do that. Now tell me, how are you going to do that? What resources you have? How are you going to implement this? So it actually pushes the creator to think and come up with his own solution rather than giving a solution by himself. Now if you look at the same FISB from a creator perspective, the creator orientation perspective, the focus here is vision or outcome, which means you know that you have a choice where you want to go and how you want to go. So you start from that point. And when you start with that point, you are actually driven by your passion, which is your inner state at this stage. So you remember when you were a victim, your orientation is here, anxiety. But now you move from anxiety to passion because you're clear, you have an outcome in your mind. And at that time, the behavior that you exhibit is that how do I, slowly, gently, maybe my baby steps, move to my goal, close, I just make the journey happen, right? That's where you're focused. So this is a complete transformation from a victim mindset to a creator mindset. And now I'm going to come back to my story where I said, I was feeling victimized. After reading the book, that I only thing that sort of lit a bulb inside me is that, look, all I needed to do is to just change my perception, the way I look at things, right? The first takeaway is that I needed to shift my orientation from victim to creator. I wanted to change my focus. I wanted to have a vision and outcome rather than thinking of a problem from a FISB perspective, and then make the shift happen through baby steps. So essentially, the change that I saw in myself, and the last 2.5-3 years is fabulous to that extent, is that I just, in every time I sort of, problem is all part of our life. It's just the way we look at it, right? We all know that. So after we changed the perception, after I changed my perception, I started looking at the possibility and the journey, the outcome. I made the shift happen, and I'm sure that's the way we all think, right? So I wanted to leave with that thought is that, let's make the shift happen from the victim's orientation to the creator orientation. Thank you.